The graph of the function y equals g of x represents a transformation of the graph of y equals f of x. Determine the equation in this form right here. So here's our f of x graph, here's our g of x graph. First thing I look for are reflections. I see that I have a reflection over the x-axis, which means I would multiply the y values by -1. Okay, there's not really a reflection in the y-axis. It would be the same, so it would be no point in putting in a reflection over that. Then I'm going to compare my domain and range. My domain, so it goes from -4 to 4, so there's 8 units. Here, if you count, it's still 8 units. So with the domain, there is no change, and therefore that means there's going to be no horizontal stretch. Now I'm going to look at my range. For my range, we have 4 units, so it goes from 4 to, if we take a look here, 10, 2, so it goes to 12. So 4 times what's going to give me the change of 12. So we can see that the 3 goes in there. That tells me my A value is 3. So now I need to apply the stretch and reflection to a point. Okay, so we'll pick a point on f of x, and my mapping notation for that point will look like so on my g of x graph. So when I'm choosing a point, I sometimes consider the fact that x didn't change, the y value is going to be multiplied by -3. So if I choose a point that has a y value of 0, in other words, the x-intercepts, that can make it a little easier for me. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this point right here for 0. So when I apply that point, the x value doesn't change. -3 times 0 still gives me 0. So then I don't have to, count to get to that image point. It's right there for me. Then remember the image point, when this is reflected, it was shifted this way. So my image point then would match up with this point here. So I want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to the right. And from there we'll count up, and you can see it goes up to 10. So that's my translation. Therefore, to put that into my equation, we're going to have y equals -3 is my A value, f of x minus 8 for the right shift, and plus 10 for vertical shift.